Let us move to another home dog. Oklahoma heads to Kansas. Oklahoma, we just saw them get scared to death by UCF. Kansas, we know how much better they've been, but they did lose to Oklahoma State recently. You got the Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean. Who's it going to be situation? Lance Leipold, his name. There's the Michigan State folks would sure love to talk to Lance Leipold at some point down the stretch. We'll see what happens with Arkansas, but.
Oh, you brought up Danny Notes. I wasn't going to. He was one of my least favorite people of the week, my man. So yeah, I usually like to start the week with like a just win baby money line parlay, and that sounds exactly what you're just picking 4 or 5 teams to just win.
Yep.
Nooner slate, Arkansas. They were a home favorite by 6.5 points. Well, the only points that they got this weekend was responsible for a Mike Wright interception on the second play of the game. It was just an ineptitude. Of course, if you read the headlines this afternoon, he was immediately relieved of his duties from his good friend, Sam Pittman. So it takes a lot for a friend to make that move in the middle of the season, but the writing was on the wall. They went from the most explosive offense in the SEC. Basically, 1 out of 5 plays was either a 20-yard or more pass or a 10-yard or more run. Flash forward to today, it's under 10%. So it was more cut than half. And of course, they are dead last in the SEC, and they are on pace to have the worst clip in the SEC under my watch, which goes back to 2018. So not a good look. And yes, change was needed there, but I digress.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm glad you went there because I don't know how much longer Sam Pittman lasts there. The change had to be made at offensive coordinator. You had Dan Enos emailing people back and saying, well, what plays would you call? So this needed to happen, but we'll see what happens on that one. Leipold is going to be a commodity this offseason because of what he's done. I mean, think about how bad Kansas was when he took over and how competitive they are now. And I'm looking at this 10.5, Clark, and I'm like,
it's frisky.
I feel pretty good about it because we saw UCF with an offense that it's not the Gus offense and what Kansas does are not completely similar, but you do have running quarterbacks, some single wingy type principles, that sort of thing. Is Oklahoma disciplined enough defensively to hold the score down? I think Oklahoma can definitely outscore them. The question is, can they hold the score down?
Yeah, in my opinion, this is going to be a game where you're going to take the over because, right now, Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel, Heisman, hopeful, they are going to be led by their passing game. Only 66th in the country in EPA per run. Of course, obviously, top 10 in passing when you're looking at Kansas defensively, in the triple digits defending the pass. So while they themselves can produce big plays, explosive plays, and we have been seeing this Oklahoma defense kind of be prone to giving those up on occasion, in my opinion, it's just going to be a matter of how well can they ice the game away in the second half. Talking about the Sooners, can they run the ball efficiently? Can they get themselves in third and manageable when they do get in those situations? And can they convert to the ground and not having to ask Dylan Gabriel to drop back 50 times. Now, he's been fantastic improving his play versus pressure. And even though Kansas has, they lost a decent amount of production in that regard, but it's just because of the fact that they do have those 2 quarterbacks, no matter who's back there, that fun scheme, they're definitely going to be frisky. I just think there's going to be too much firepower ultimately from Oklahoma for them to pull off the upset. But in terms of covering, I do like the Jayhawks there at home.
This is a good test for Oklahoma's defense because they didn't have their best game against UCF. Now, 66.5 is your total.
Yeah.
That's a big number. That's a big number.
You
feel good about it?
I feel good about it. Classic Big 12 matchup, Andy. We're going to get like 44-49 type of game here. That's what I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel good about it. We'll bonus pick that one over 66.5. I'm going to take Oklahoma to cover here, though. I think given what we've seen with the defense, it had its sleepy game. It had its down game, but it has been significantly better this season than last. The long touchdown, I think it was an 86-yard touchdown pass that UCF threw, was the first really nasty coverage bust we've seen from this Oklahoma defense all season. They were doing like 3 of those a game last year. So I'm confident they get it back. So I'm gonna take Oklahoma to cover, and I have just now picked 2 double-digit road favorites. And this is This is already going off the rails.
But hey, I mean, if you got a method, you got to stick to it. You can't go willy nilly and picking and choosing. There.
We just have a lot of double digit spreads this week. This is a week where and look, little behind the curtain, we're picking the games we think the most people want to talk about. We're not
not the surefire like
we're not just IDing the lead pipe lock of the week here. This is we are trying to put on an entertaining show for the average college football fan as well, because we don't want you to be you're like, man, you guys just talk about MTSU and UTSA all the time when you pick the games. So that's where we're at. So thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.